All right, let's get right into it. We're about to completely take apart what you think confidence is. We're going to break it down into 7 lessons, and we're going to explore this pretty radical idea that what most of us call confidence, well, it might not be real at all.
So, that's a pretty strong way to start, right? But think about it. The argument here is that most of what we think of as confidence, the steady eye contact, the firm handshake, the strong voice, it's not something that comes from within. It's actually a set of behaviors we learned because someone somewhere gave us permission to act that way. It's a performance we put on to get approval.
And this lays out the difference perfectly. On one side, you've got that permission-based confidence. It's totally external. It's always looking over its shoulder, asking, am I doing this right? Do you approve? And its biggest tell? Hesitation. But on the other side, you have the real thing. It's internal, it's self-directed, and it doesn't wait around. It acts.
Now, this is the core idea you have to get. Hesitation is not your natural state. Nobody is born weak. Hesitation is a learned behavior. It's a program that was installed in you to make you second-guess yourself, to seek that approval, to keep yourself small so you don't rock the boat. But listen, that is not who you are. It's just programming, and any program can be rewritten.
So how do we start rewriting that code? This first section is all about that. We're covering our first 2 lessons, and the whole point is to stop looking outside for validation and start building something unshakable inside yourself.
And this is where we start. Lesson 1 is all about building your internal authority. Think of this as your own personal constitution. It's a set of rules and principles that you decide on, that you live by. And once you have this, the whole game changes. You stop asking, what are they going to think? And you start asking, does this align with my rules?
And what's great is how practical this is. So first, you actually define your rules. What will you accept? What will you not accept? Period. Second, you learn to filter outside opinions. You don't have to reject everything, you just listen, and then you make the final call based on your own authority. And that third step there brings us to lesson 2, normalize pressure. You have to intentionally, deliberately put yourself in uncomfortable situations. But why would you do that?
Because pressure is like an X-ray. It doesn't make you weak. It just shows you where the cracks already are. It reveals your default programming, those old patterns that take over the second you get stressed or uncomfortable. By training under pressure, you get to see those patterns clearly, and then you can start to systematically overwrite them.
All right, moving on to our second section and our next 2 lessons. So once you've started building that internal fortress, the next step is to control how you project that strength into the world around you.
And this is lesson 3. You have to learn to control perception, not just expression. See, most people are just expressing. They feel something, they show it, it's totally reactive, and frankly, it makes you incredibly predictable. The shift is to focus on perception, intentionally controlling what other people see. That's not reactive, it's strategic, and that is how you build authority.
You can think of it like this. Every time you have an uncontrolled emotional reaction, you're exposing yourself. You're giving away free information about your triggers, your weaknesses, what gets under your skin. Real power lies in being deliberate, in choosing what you show, and, more importantly, what you keep hidden.
And this quote right here, this is the foundation for lesson 4, weaponize absence. It's a basic principle of human psychology. If something is always there, always available, always on, we start to take it for granted. Its value goes down.
So you learn to use absence as a tool. And this is not about playing games or ignoring people. It's about being strategic. When you're selective with your presence, it becomes more valuable. When you don't respond to every single thing instantly, your words carry more weight. And sometimes just being silent, well, that can be the most powerful move of all. It makes other people show their cards.
Okay, we've talked internal, we've talked external. Now let's get a little more analytical. This next section, with lessons 5 and 6, is all about turning 2 things we're taught to avoid, fear and weakness, into your greatest strategic assets.
I mean, really think about it. What is it? We're conditioned to think of it as this big, scary monster, something we have to run away from or fight. But what if that's completely wrong?
And there's the reframe. This is lesson 5. Treat fear as data. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's not your enemy. It's a high-precision feedback system. It is pointing directly at something and saying, hey, right here, this is an area where you lack clarity or preparation or control.
I love this way of putting it. Every fear contains a map. It's showing you the exact path forward. If you're afraid of a big presentation, the map is telling you where the holes are in your prep.
It's telling you which questions you're not ready for. If you can learn to read that map instead of running from the feeling, you gain an unbelievable advantage.
And you can take this mapping process and apply it to everything. Which brings us to lesson 6, map weakness patterns. People are creatures of habit. Under pressure, we all fall back on repeatable loops and predictable patterns. If you learn to observe in yourself and in others, you can start to see the system running behind the behavior. And once you see the system, the unpredictable suddenly becomes very, very predictable.
Okay, we're at our final lesson, lesson number 7. This is the one that really ignites everything else we've talked about. It's time to finally uninstall that old program of hesitation and replace it with something much, much more effective.
Just look at this contrast. On the left, there's hesitation. It likes to disguise itself as being careful or thoughtful, but really, it's just a delay that breeds doubt and kills momentum. On the right, you have its opposite, controlled aggression. And let's be clear, this isn't about being angry or reckless. It's about precision. It's about acting with enough information, not waiting for perfect information that never comes.
So let's lock in this definition for lesson 7. Replace hesitation with controlled aggression. It is simply the ability to close that tiny gap between when you decide to do something and when you actually do it. It's about moving with speed and clarity, erasing that moment of self-doubt that stops so many people dead in their tracks.
So, we've gone through all 7 lessons. We've talked about building your internal authority, controlling perception, weaponizing absence, decoding fear, and acting with precision. But here's the thing. None of this is just information to be stored away. It all leads you to a single point, a choice.
And this is the honest truth. You can understand every single one of these concepts. You can nod along and agree with all of it. But just being aware of the ideas, it changes nothing. Awareness is the starting line, not the finish line.
So this is the real question, isn't it? This is the question for you. You've seen the path laid out. You have the map. The responsibility now is yours. What are you going to do about it?
Because in the end, this is the only rule that matters. The world doesn't care about your good intentions. It doesn't respond to your brilliant plans or your deep understanding. The world only, and I mean only, responds to action. The choice is yours.